everyone. This is Brandon Nunes, your host on Between Chalk Lines podcast, where it's baseball talk all time, every week. So, just want to let you know that UD Stefan won the bobblehead for July, and for August, we're giving away a Spencer Jones autograph card, numbered 4 out of 5. I don't know if it's that. It's kind of there we go. 4 out of 5. This baby has been sitting around for 2 years now, and one of you guys get it. So go to the Between the Chalk Lines Instagram profile, like, comment on the photo and subscribe to the channel, and then you'll get a chance to win this card. Send it straight to your door. But yesterday was a flurry of trades. We had trades up and down. We go from the AL East to Central, West, and NL East, Central, West. So, starting with the Jays, they acquired starting pitcher Shane Bieber from Cleveland for starting pitcher prospect Cal Steven, as well as relief pitcher Anthony Dominguez from Baltimore for starting pitcher prospect Horon Watts Brown, as well as relief pitcher Luis Barlin and first baseman Ty France from Minnesota for outfielder Alan Rodden and starting pitcher prospect Kendry Rojas. And finally, traded infield Will Wagner to San Diego for catching prospect Brandon Valenzuela. If you recognize that Wagner name, it was because Will's father was just inducted into the Hall of Fame. I'll just start with saying the Twins going into next year only have 2 players with contracts, Pablo Lopez and Byron Buxton. They blew up their team. We'll talk about some more former Twins. But yeah, the Blue Jays, I think, adding Bieber, Dominguez, Barlin, France, and Wagner, they hit all the spots: starting pitching, relief pitching, first base, infield. So Blue Jays, as they stand now, I believe they're in first place. I'm pretty sure they are. Yes, they are 3.5 ahead of the Yankees and 5 ahead of the Red Sox. So Blue Jays just, I think, solidified themselves either a East Division title or American League wild card position. At the very least, wild card. At the best, AL East division winners. So, congrats. I know that the Blue Jays haven't won the World Series in quite a while, so this could help them a lot. Boston did try some things. I always thought this prospect, well, mentioned, they acquired Steven Matz from St. Louis for first base slash third base prospect Blaze Jordan. If you're a card collector like I am, I mean, I've got cards up the wazoo, raw, graded, you name it. Everyone was chasing that Blaze Jordan first Bowman when that came out a few years ago. So he's gone from highly sought to kind of just forgotten. They also acquired starting pitcher Dustin May from the Dodgers, who is, or was, I should say, fairly good. For outfield prospect James Tibbs III and outfield prospect Zach Aaron. You'll see why in a moment, but it's kind of frustrating. Just, I mean, two people, bad sleeper, snore. I mean, Red Sox fans, I don't think that this takes you to the postseason, but I might be wrong. I've been wrong before. Tampa Bay acquired relief pitcher Griffin Jax from the Twins for starting pitcher Taj Bradley, depending on how you say it, and acquired starting pitcher Adrian Hauser from White Sox for infielder Curtis Mead, starting pitcher prospect Duncan David, relief prospect Ben Peoples. So they also traded infielder Jose Caballero right in the middle of the game to the Yankees for outfield Everson Pereira and a player to be named later. The all-favorite participated in the 3-team trade with the Dodgers and the Reds that sent Zach Little to the Reds and relief pitcher Paul Gervis and catcher Ben Rortvedt to the Dodgers, and acquired starting pitcher prospect from the Reds, Brian Van Bell, and catcher Hunter Fiducia from the Dodgers. Not a bad return for what they sent, as well as acquiring Nick Fortes, catcher from the Marlins, for outfield prospect Matthew Etzel. Traded catcher Danny Jansen for infield prospect Jeddah Arenamo with the Brewers. I mean, it's not a huge change, I would say. You know, acquiring a catcher, trading a catcher, acquiring infielder. Probably the best get from Tampa was Jose Caballero. Sorry, sending Jose Caballero was the biggest. Kind of says what I've said to fellow card collectors. Anthony Volpe's overrated. I know it's only been, like 2.5 seasons now, but he's not your next Derek Jeter. Jose Caballero is going to get on base, steal bases, and hit for a better average than Volpe. Hands down. Just look it up. Do the comparisons. Caballero has actually played less games at the major league level and done better than Volpe in those 3 aspects: stolen bases, batting average, and on base percentage. So we'll see what happens to Volpe. Caballero might just play second. Orioles did pretty good. Traded Ryan O'Hearn, first baseman, and outfielder Ramon Laureano to San Diego for prospects. Boston Bateman, pitcher. Brandon Butterworth, shortstop. Cobb Hightower, infielder. Victor Figueroa, right fielder / first baseman. And relief pitchers Tyson Nevers and Tanner Smith. They made out. The Orioles just robbed the Padres for Ryan O'Hearn and Ramon Laureano. They also traded Mullins to the Mets for relief pitcher prospect Raimon Gomez and Anthony Nunez, as well as Chandler Marsh. So a handful of relief pitching prospects. Seranthony Dominguez, we talked about that, traded to the Blue Jays. The big one was Charlie Morton sent to Detroit for relief pitcher prospect Micah Ashman. They traded relief pitcher Gregory Soto to the Mets as well. Mets for prospect Wellington Arcana and Cameron Foster, starting pitcher and a relief pitcher. They also traded relief pitcher Andrew Kittredge to the Cubs for shortstop prospect Wilfred De La Cruz, and we traded away third baseman Ramon Urias to Astros for starting pitcher prospect Ryan Palmer, and they acquired the starting pitcher Dietrich Enns from the Tigers for cash. So sent, an older, aging starting pitcher in Morton for prospect there. Just like I think highway robbery at its best in O'Hearn and Laureano to the Padres. Same thing with some others. We'll see. Got a few more teams. Tigers acquired. Morton, relief pitcher Paul Sewell from Cleveland for the famous player to be named later, or cash, and relief pitcher Kyle Finnegan, who's been around from Washington for starting pitcher prospect Josh Randall, and starting pitcher prospect RJ Sales. Relief pitcher Rafael Montero from the Braves for infield prospect Jim Jarvis. Acquired relief pitcher Cody Here from the Rangers for cash, and acquired starting pitcher Chris Paddock, who's been around, and Randy Dobnik from the Twins for catching prospect Enrique Jimenez. Traded Matt Manning to Philly for outfield prospect Osweth Quinones, I believe. They're up 9 games in Central. They don't need to do too much unless they entirely fall apart. They're okay. The Guardians, Cleveland. We already talked about their trades in Shane Bieber and Paul Sewell, for prospects, player to name later, and cash. Like I said, Tigers 9 games up this far in the season. You don't need to do too much as the Guardians. The Royals. Let's see. Acquired starter Ryan Berger and relief pitcher Stephen Kolek from Padres for catcher Freddie Furman. Acquired starting pitcher Bailey Falter from the Pirates for relief pitcher Evan Sisk and first base prospect Kellen Moss, as well as acquiring outfielders Randall Grichuk and Mike Yastrzemski from Arizona and the Giants, respectively, for prospects. Their biggest move was extending Seth Lugo through 2027. So, Royals not going to win the division. The Twins, like I said, blew up the team. Only have 2 players left for next year on contract. Let's see who left. Carlos Correa to Astros for cash and prospect. Traded Johan Duran to the Phillies for Mick Abel and catching prospect. Traded Chris Paddock and Randy Dobnak to the Tigers. Traded utility player Willie Castro to the Cubs for prospects, and traded relief pitcher Griffin Jacks to Tampa Bay for starting pitcher. Traded outfielder Harrison Bader to Philly for prospects. Traded relief pitcher Brock Stewart to the Dodgers for outfielder James Outman, which is a decent get. Traded relief pitcher Danny Cohn to the Rangers for prospect. Traded relief pitcher Luis Garland and first baseman Ty France to the Jays for prospects and an outfielder. The Twins are up for sale, and so was the roster. They just blew up the whole roster. So, yeah, getting prospects for tried and true players like Bader, France, Willie Castro, Johan Duran, Carlos Correa. White Sox traded Adrian Hauser for Curtis Mead. He was actually decent. He was just kind of blocked in Tampa. And starting pitcher prospect traded Austin Slater, outfielder, to Yankees for prospect. Astros acquired Correa, Ramon Urias, Jesus Sanchez. So Carlos Correa was telling friends, hey, I want to be back in Houston. So I'll waive my no trade for Houston. And Houston owned it. It happened. And he even said, I'll play third base if you need me to. So even though they got Ramon Urias for a pitcher, the Astros have Correa as a backup third baseman. Just a slick trade deadline. Couldn't ask for more. Besides the Mariners, I would argue the Mariners did better than Astros. The only reason the Astros are up on the Mariners are because they're winning the division. The Mariners, if you've forgotten, were also first place just about a month or two ago. So the Mariners went and got Eugenio Suarez to return Josh Naylor a few weeks ago, and relief pitcher Caleb Ferguson. I mean, they gave up some stuff for Suarez, Naylor, Ferguson. Obviously, you need to give up major league players for major league players. Sorry. Rangers. Their biggest catch was Merrill Kelly from the D-backs. Phil Matone from St. Louis. The Angels. Got Andrew Chafin and Luis Garcia from the Nationals for Jake Eder and first baseman prospect Sam Brown, as well as infielder Oswald Peraza from the Yankees for outfield prospect Wilson DePena. They're not looking to win. That was a we tried deadline move. Athletics, they robbed the Padres as well. Relief pitcher Mason Miller, who was hot last year, and starting pitcher J.P. Sears for prospect Leo DeVries, starting pitcher Braden Nett, starting pitcher Henry Baez, and relief pitcher Eduardo Nunez. He traded away DH Miguel Andujar to the Reds for starting pitcher Kenya Huggins. I mean, it's just what the A's do. Athletics, whatever you want to call them. They've always sold high and never extended. It's just how they work. So, everyone, thank you for joining me in the American League trade deadline review. We'll do a National League trade deadline review as well, but tomorrow. So, everyone, have a great weekend, and don't forget about the Spencer Jones autograph card. All right. Have a great weekend.